What's going on, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Wayne Presents, sponsored by Promarketize. Don't just advertise, Promarketize. As always, I'm your host, B Wayne, and I'm here today with Trina. What's up, Trina?
Hey Wayne, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. You doing okay?
I am. I
Trina,
am.
we're going to jump right into it. Tell the good people your age and where you are located.
So I am 53 years old, and I am located right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, in a small town called Zebulon.
And we talked about that at the during the pre-run or whatever, where, get to know each other a little bit. And Zebulon is out near Raleigh, near Wake Forest, in
Mhm.
that area. Okay. Small country town, right? But
Yeah,
you're actually originally from
Baltimore. Yay,
what
baby.
do we what do we know about Baltimore? I know Baltimore apparently used to be like the murder capital of the country. And
Yeah.
I know it's where they did The Wire, a movie, a series I love, by the way. How would you summarize Baltimore in a sentence or a word or a sentence? How would you?
I like The Wire. I will say that it is. The areas of it is a lot like The Wire, but I actually left Baltimore because I needed a slower pace to raise my daughter. So I decided to move to North Carolina.
Have you regretted the decision or anything about the decision to move?
Oh, never. No, no regrets. No regrets. None of them.
Amen. Well, welcome to North Carolina. So you have a book behind you.
I
Is that a showpiece book or is that your book?
That's my book. I'm an author. It's my book, Do Not Sit, A Journey to Wholeness. And it's a book of stories, a compilation of stories that during the George Floyd and the pandemic, I had taken a word and started writing stories. And those stories became very inspiring messages for people. So people would ask me when I share them where they could get it from. So I had decided to put them in a book. So it's Do Not Sit.
What could one expect from reading your book, Do Not Sit, if you were explaining to someone who didn't know what a book was, they didn't know what a story, like how would you explain to them what they would get out of reading your book, Do Not Sit?
I think you get a different way of thinking about things. You know, when people have traumas, they don't necessarily think that those were made to help build them into better people or to, be able to handle life's challenges. And most things that you go through is just a setup for you to be better. So it tells us stories, and most of them are about my life. And how I used all of those events just to be a better person.
So these are personal traumas that were personal to you, or these like traumas as far as, what was going on politically or socioeconomically or what?
Personal to me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I so I wrote a poem. My first poem I ever did was "Do Not." It's called "Who Could Understand the Plight of a Black Man," and really that allowed me to see things a lot differently and to start looking at our Black men in a different light.
Do you care to elaborate?
Well, I think our Black men are being seen. Like there's a place where they should be able to come home, take their armor off at the door, and come into their house where they are the king and they're able to do those things and that they feel like is important to them to express themselves. They shouldn't have to come into their home and fight the way they have to do in the street. And I think we're not giving our men enough space to be who they really are and who they were designed to be, great men.
Why do you feel that, or what do you feel led has been like some of the key factors that have led to where we are right now? If we are at a state where Black men are not respected and or appreciated um, by Black women, maybe as they should be, what do you think are some of the factors that have led to that? If that's what you're insinuating, don't let me put words in your mouth.
definitely what I'm insinuating, but I think that I think women don't truly understand that uh, we're less of a threat. So we're able to go into places and positions that our Caucasian counterparts has allowed us to go into, places that they won't allow our Black men to go because they feel less threatened. And then we come home with this paycheck and we're thinking that we are above or better than our men because we may be making more money. I don't believe that to be true. I believe that, the man has power and he has say and it's in his own domain. Like if he's in his own house, where is he going to be able to get the respect that he deserves? But I think it's been designed that way for years and years, even with the welfare system, you know, telling Black men they can't be with their family if, you want the government to help you take care of your children. So I think women had to decide whether they were going to take care of their children or have a man present. And it's put us in a very peculiar place these days.
I think people don't acknowledge enough the the lengths that the federal government, our own government, has taken, steps that they've taken, and policies that have been implemented, institutions, systemic institutions, belief systems that have been designed to make it more difficult for Black people in general to get ahead, to stay unified, and to foster like an atmosphere of love and in our culture. And it shows. It does definitely show. So that's great. The book is Do Not Sit. And where can they find it?
They can find it on Amazon.
Okay, so when we get finished, I would love for you to send me any links that you have, and I would definitely support your book. Um, I love to see good people putting out, quality products
Thank you.
for others to consume. Absolutely. So let's go in a little bit more detail into who you are and what you are about. What industry are you in, Trina?
So I work in higher education. I teach emotional intelligence at the community college, and I have an organization called Fit Work that is designed to help individuals navigate the workforce.
What's the organization called again?
FEM Work, FEE Work.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that organization, and then we'll go into emotional intelligence because that's something I'm very interested in. So tell us a little bit more about your organization.
So FemWork is built off of a success model that I believe helps people achieve more in life. It's off of faith, not only in your God, but in oneself, education, motivation, and empowerment. I think with those four things, you're empowered to do so much more than you ever thought you could. And so I help people with what I've coined your visual resume. I help them with how to present themselves, uh, their emotional intelligence, how everything that they feel is wrong with them today can be traced back to something that happened in their childhood, things like that.
Speaking of things being traced back to a person's childhood, let's talk about emotional intelligence. Is that something that you feel is cultivated? Is this something basically that you're born with? Is it something that you have to unlearn and get rid of toxic mindsets and ways of thinking to become more emotionally mature and intelligent? How does it work?
I think emotional intelligence starts with self awareness. And it's not that you need to change, but you need to be aware that that's something that you believe and that you operate in that part of your life a lot of times. So you say you have this alpha male, there's masculine men, and there's toxic men, right? And it's like, how do you keep your alpha from becoming toxic? Knowing who you are, knowing why you do those things that you do. So the more self aware you are, the more open you are to changing and listening to different people's perspectives and asking yourself the good questions, the good hard questions that I had to ask myself in order to try and be better, a better version of Trina.
Oh, accountability. We love when the ladies talk about accountability because yeah. Um, how does emotional maturity and emotional intelligence come into play when it comes to interpersonal relationships, especially romantic relationships?
Well, I think what's most important is your ability to connect with somebody. And I am, um, I love a man that takes charge, that knows where he's going. I can't follow somebody that doesn't know where he's going. And I think it's most important is just connect. Everything is connection is energy, right? And there's so much more to intimacy than sex. Sex is the easy part, intimacy is the hard part.
And intimacy comes in so many different forms. A lot of people get in trouble with that because they think that they relate intimacy to sex and sexuality. And then now you have, ministers having affairs with some of the parishioners of a church or, organizations, people falling for their therapists because communication is intimacy or it can be very intimate. Praying over someone, praying with someone, super duper intimate. Um, and these type of acts foster cohesiveness, and we don't really give a lot of credence, right? And people can get into trouble that way. So, um, I definitely agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about you directly. What do you like? What do you love? What do you dislike? What makes you happy?
I oh man. Um, right now what's bringing me a lot of joy is my company. So my company is bringing me a lot of joy because I love to help people. So I'm a builder of people and relationships. I want a man that has the ability to communicate. Like all that other stuff is good, but somebody that can actually communicate his feelings and understand that it's not only his feelings that are important, that he needs to see things from someone else's perspective as well. I love a man that's fit. Um, I love a man that knows where he's going, right? And who has attained some things in life too, that he's not starting from ground zero.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you told me what you like, but I want to know more about who you are.
Who I am?
So yeah, let's talk about who are you before, and we'll get back into what you like. We
Oh,
see, we
okay.
know what kind of man you look. No, you good.
Okay. Maybe I got the question mixed up.
No, that's okay because that's gonna come up too. But I want to before we go into in what type of gentleman you might possibly be interested in. I want to know more about you. So if who 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 would a good friend, a close relative say that you are?
So they would say that I'm somebody that is very optimistic and positive, opinionated, got plenty of opinions. Even if I don't know what I'm talking about, I still have an opinion about it. It's a flaw. I'm self-aware. All right. And let's say I am nurturing. I'm kind. I can be self, and I'm a
Meaning what?
great teammate. I'm an awesome teammate.
That's great,
I love to
great.
I love to build.
What in what way would you say you were selfish?
Um, sometimes I don't like to look at other people's kind of take what they want to do into consideration when I have my mind set on something. So, and I think that's very selfish behavior because no matter what your mind is set on, somebody should be able to speak to that thing and you reconsider. And sometimes I think because I'm so hyper focused on a lot of things that I may not listen enough to be able to stop and say, okay, this person has a valid point, or my mate has something to say. I need to take that into consideration before I move.
Understood.
Mhm.
You spoke earlier about personal trauma that you've experienced. Are any of those in the book? And would you like to elaborate on all or any of some of what you've experienced?
So, Do Not Sit is a story about my sister that died suddenly, and she was only 40 years old. And she died of sudden cardiac arrest. And when she died, I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. And I was before her death, I never felt like I was a good writer. I had so much anxiety around writing. But because it was so much, uh, I had so many feelings around her death, and the grief was so deep that I had to write it. And that's where the book Do Not Sit came from. I mean, that's where the title Do Not Sit, which is a story that I wrote about my sister and her passing, the story about around her passing. And
I'm very sorry for your loss.
yeah, thank you. And so that has molded me into the person that I am today.
The person that you are today would be interested in what type of guy?
I am interested in a man that has the ability to communicate well. I love a man that can dress too. It smells good. I like that. That's a like. Um, I um, require that a man is in his masculine energy, and that if he wants me to follow, he has to be leading somewhere. He has to be going somewhere. So a confident man, somebody that is also um, also self-aware, because that awareness will also give me, and vulnerable will give me the opportunity to be able to see where he is so that we can meet, in the middle.
How are you? How do you feel about reciprocity and compromise? And you said you were a good teammate. These are some of the attributes, in my opinion, my humble opinion,
Hmm.
when it comes to teamwork. What makes you a good teammate for a gentleman who might be interested in getting to know you?
I have the ability to see a need and try to fill it. So if you're building a deck, I'm out there carrying the wood too. Like, there's things that I can do. I may not be the mastermind. I may not be the one taking the measure, but I can cut and I can carry. So I'm going to get in and do what I need to do. So that's even if you're in your business, you say you want to grow your business. Okay, so what business do you have and what are you trying to go and where are you trying to go, right? Because I can help you, because that's just who I am. I am a helper. And so it's been in me since forever. And I think the best relationships are the one where both of you have a goal. It may not be the same goal, but both of you have a goal and you're moving towards something. So that enables me to be a great teammate, because you got something to go for. I mean, somebody that says, "Oh, I've already arrived. I don't want to do nothing. I'm here." It's harder for me to follow that person, because I think it's hard for somebody to arrive if you're still alive. And that's how I feel. I don't know if I'm still working on figuring out why do I feel like, because if I feel like somebody's not going somewhere, I feel like there's something wrong. And it may just be me, because I grew up in poverty. So I've been running from it ever since.
I don't think there's anything wrong with you. The number one, pardon me, the number one um trait, attribute, uh one of the number one questions that you ladies should be asking a man when you meet him is uh his idea or how he sees his purpose. Does he have a purpose? What is his purpose? Does he have a vision? Because you're basically asking him, does he have a plan?
Right.
Does he have something that gets him up every day and motivates him to do more than just punch a clock and come home?
Okay.
and go to the club from time to time or go to the bar? Does he have, what is his growth potential? And you can estimate his growth potential by determining how he sees purpose. Does
Hmm.
he have an idea? Even if it sounds far-fetched, does he believe in his soul that he's meant for that thing? Is he attempting to achieve his goals? Does he have goals that he sets, um, short-term and long-term goals? Does he have a plan? Does he see something bigger than himself down the road, a place where he is trying to get to? Because then you can backtrack. It's almost like you can reverse engineer from that. You know,
Right.
anything you want to know about a man will be based on, does he have vision? Does he have a purpose?
Hmm.
Because if a man has a purpose, he will do and be and say certain things that align with where he's trying to go. And you can know if that's someplace that you can see yourself trying to get to. And he will begin to eliminate things outside of that that make it more difficult, that don't align with where he's trying to go. If he doesn't have a place to go, then how he can't lead you because he's not going anywhere. He's
That's right.
just he's just alive. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And
Yes.
women don't ask that. Like, y'all women ask the wrong question. They caught up on the wrong stuff. And it's like they don't listen, they don't pay attention. Two, a lot of what we have going on in society right now is there's a resentment that is built up in men. And we have a very toxic culture, especially black culture. It's very, very toxic. And it seems like the most toxic people tend to be the loudest. And then you have people who make good points on both sides. But for example, talk about Kevin Samuels.
Hmm.
A lot of black women hated that man for whatever reason. And I'm not saying that all of, or most of what he talked about was correct. And a lot of times how he came across in a way that black women especially did not appreciate. But they were so fixated on what they hated about him that they didn't see what he was trying to do and what he was doing. And they don't care that a lot of black men really respect what he was saying because he was trying to help in his own, his own way. He was trying to basically let brothers know you don't have to settle.
Hmm.
You can go out here and have what you want too. You don't have to just accept any and everything from a woman.
And I think a lot of women took that offensively, right? They took it offensively. And I did personally didn't take it offensively. Of course, some of the things that he said seemed a little outrageous to me at times, but everybody got to add something into it, right, to make it interesting. But I think now we're at a time where everybody is trying to see what they can get out of something, and it's nobody's really trying to put anything in. They're like, "What is it that I'm trying to get out of this relationship?" And you don't want to put any time, any effort, any energy. You want somebody to pay your bills. Like, I'm not looking for somebody to pay my bills. Look, let me tell you, I am the cake all by myself. Let me tell you, that foundation is great. I'm able to do whatever I need to do. I'm stable. I have a great foundation. I am the whole cake. I would love to have a man that's the icing on the top, right? It makes me look better. It tastes better. It just gives you, it empowers you to go out there and be great. Like it gives you flavor and color, and it adds to what you already have. I'm not asking you to build me. I'm asking you to add to what I already have. And
Women have spent the last 10, 20 years talking about what they want from a man, what a man's got to do for them, what he has to have in order to have an opportunity. 6 feet, six pack, six figure, all of that, right? And it's been all good. And then Kev came along and other brothers and other people, and even some women have come along and be like, okay, well, ladies, what are you gonna do for them? What do you bring to the table? And the world was in an outroar, like everything, people just started losing their, what do I bring? Baby, I am the table. Or this, that, da, 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 da. And I'm like, and then men are just sitting back like, are they serious?
right.
The You immediately begin to talk about what you type of, you're a helper, you're a supporter, you're a builder. Well, I may not be in, the master planner, but I can do this and I'll do that. I'm gonna help my man. I'm gonna back my man. I'm gonna support my man. I'm gonna nurture my man. I'm gonna make sure that my man is good. Da, 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 da. And that is a problem because a lot of women don't seem to understand that for a lot of men, we're beginning to see y'all as a bill or a responsibility or an obligation. And then it's like, well, what's the benefit? Anything when I was in sales a long time ago, we learned that people don't buy products, they buy the benefit of the product. So it's like, okay, well, this is what I got to do. I got to protect, I got to provide, I got to take care of, I got to do this, I got to do that. Like, okay, well, what are you going to do for me? What is it about you besides button boobs and badge, which all of y'all have?
Mm-hmm.
Why, how are you benefiting me spiritually? How are you benefiting me mentally and emotionally? What are you going to do for me that separates you from every other woman that said, you know what, I want to take care of her for the rest of her life? And you immediately begin to talk about that. Why do you think that has become an issue, especially in our community?
I would say that to I never wanted anybody to take care of me. So that's something that I always thought. I never wanted anybody to take care of me. I was like, I can take care of myself. Like if somebody said, "Well, let me pay your rent this month," I'd be like, "No, you don't need to pay my rent. My rent already paid, right? Don't come with like." I took offense to it, right? Until I ran into somebody that he took really good care of me. And I never thought that I really cared about somebody taking care of me until you experience somebody taking care of you. Because it's not the fact that somebody gives you money, it's the fact that you look up and somebody's outside cutting your grass and they don't live here, right? It's that is the thing where it says, "Oh man, that door is making so much noise," and they show up and they got something to fix your door, right? Or they say, "Let's go on a trip," and they give you whatever. Like those things are great. Like I never even thought about it before now, right? Until I experienced it. But what I realized, though he gave me everything materialistically, there was absolutely no intimacy, no connection, and no communication. And I couldn't handle it. Because when I lay down at night or when I go in from I had a hard day, I need to be able to talk to somebody. I need to be able to connect with them and for them to understand me and I understand them. So I think a lot of women now, they're just thinking about, okay, so they're coming off the break. Can you pay my bills? Can you have dinner for my, pay for dinner for me and my girlfriends and all that kind of stuff? I would never do any. I think that's so, I just think it's out of order, right?
Tacky.
That's the
It's tacky.
the man that can ask you for sex and you don't even know him, and he's out of order, right?
Mhm.
So what are we gonna do?
I think that women have to understand it is in the nature of a man to want to take care of his lady.
That's right.
And when you have a good woman, like I'm gonna be completely real. Like I have dealt with women in my past
Hmm.
where we weren't even in a relationship. We were kicking it.
Hmm.
And she put it down in the bedroom. It can be something that simple. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get this chick I'm going to spend some money on her. That is how men think.
Yeah.
You got a meal and like, man, you want to give. It's in our nature to give and do for a woman that you care for, especially if she's good to you. So y'all, women, when women start doing this about what a man has to do, it's like, wait a minute, we don't want to hear that. It comes naturally. It
Right.
it will happen organically if you know how to find a quality man, and if you are the type of woman that can attract a quality man, a high value or a kingdom man. And when I use high value, just as a disclaimer, it don't mean what anybody else or what to me, high value is good quality, like a kingdom brother. For me, a godly man, a righteous man, a man who knows what it means, what God had in mind when he talked about a husband, right?
Mhm.
That Ephesians brother, the guy the type of brother you're talking about. That's what I mean. Now,
So
as far as go ahead.
I want to ask you a quick question. Do you think that it's a sign, a flag, something that if a man has no friends, has no male friends, do you think
I'm
that?
not I'm not the right guy to ask that question because I don't have any male friends. So I'm not. I'm gonna be biased. Maybe I don't. Maybe not. And that's a good debate. I'm gonna eventually have on this platform. I had male friends.
Hmm.
And it got to the point where I was doing the same stuff. We get high, we get drunk, we
Hmm.
talk about women. We get high, we get drunk, we talk about women. We get, and it was just a repeated cycle. And for me, I felt the Holy Spirit leading me away from that into my own area, into my own, coming into my own, right?
I think a kingdom man, you said you are a high quality
Mhm.
man, should have high quality kingdom men
I
around.
didn't say that. I didn't say that I was that. I said that that's the type of man that you're talking about. That I didn't mean to insinuate. I'm not talking about me. I
No,
was talking.
the man. I'm just asking. Do you think a kingdom man should have kingdom friends? I know that's for a different time. Okay.
I think. I think that every man has to walk his own path. I
That's true.
think that every man has to do what's beneficial for him. I
Mhm,
think that you'll see the fruit of a man, and you'll be able to determine by that fruit what's going on in his life.
mhm.
Then you'll be able to, okay, if what's coming out of his life and the fruit coming from him is positive, then you say, okay, well, whatever he's doing it right. If you see negativity, then there's something wrong. And then you can say, well, maybe if he had friends, or
Yeah,
maybe if he didn't have that particular friend, or maybe if he wasn't doing this or that. So I
that-
think it depends for each individual how they conduct and carry themselves. And what's most important is, having a circle is good, but your relationship with God is better, is greater,
yeah.
and that's the priority. And for me, um, there's a whole long story about, I've been there and done that, and I like rolling solo. Um, so I have my associations, but
Mhm.
other than that, it's me and Jesus, and I'm gonna keep it that way until and unless he says otherwise, or until I have, and I have guys I got guys that I can associate with and I can talk to and I can build with. But as far as my circle is me and Jesus, and that's
Mhm.
just what it is. So that's just me.
Okay.
Um, but for you, that may not be what you're into, or your intuition or your spirit man may tell you that you need to have a man that's this, that, and the third. You'll have to determine that for yourself. But for me, I'm at a place of peace and contentment, and I'm good. I'm happy and I'm healthy and I love me, and life is good. So I don't
Mhm.
see the need to make any changes in my immediate.
Great. Okay.
But back to the topic at hand. And I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm not gonna keep you much longer. And I really do, I appreciate your time and your attention. So we have to get back to a place where men and women, especially our culture, we're communicating with each other, we're showing each other respect, we're showing each other love and appreciation. There's a lot of resentment I feel that's been built up. There is bitterness, and there's this we have all this negative tension and this negative energy that we've built up because of things that we've done to one another, and we have mistreated each other.
Yes, we have.
Um, there's what we've actually done, and then there's perceived slights, what we believe is being done, and what society has told us we're doing. And how do we get back to black men and black women? I'm Christian, so color is not a thing in the kingdom. We all love each other. God doesn't see us like that. I'm just one as a black man to a black woman, and for this moment in time. How do you feel? What are some of the steps that we can take initially to get back to a place of black love and black unity?
I think that we did so much with pushing God out to get back to the foundation, the way that He made us to be, man and woman. And I think that we need to stop looking for that which we are not. A lot of people have resentment because I might not talk to you because you make $30,000 a year and I make $150,000 a year, and you may have, I tell you I don't want to talk to you and you get angry, and then now you're angry toward women because now you feel like, because I don't make enough money, they don't want to talk to me and things like that. I just think it all goes back to love and respect for one another, respect for our position, right? Respect for what, you know, you can't say roles anymore because of course that's out of the window of what a role is, right? But I think we just lack love not only for our fellow man, but love for ourselves. And until we
You
get
see,
back to loving ourselves and loving one another, we're never going to get back to the way the family be.
what's wrong with roles? That's another thing. Like, why did we allow society to?
I'm just saying that's what the culture telling you there's no roles. So
I'm
culture
asking you.
that now. But
I'm
yeah,
asking you.
there are roles, right? There are roles, and there are things that that was designed for you for a woman to do or designed for a man to do. And yes, may be different just because of economics. And I have a daughter that's a vet, right? She and her husband is a pastor. The pastor's never going to make as much as the vet, right? But that doesn't mean he deserves less respect just because he doesn't make as much money, right? And so it's like that role that he may stay home more than she stay home, or he may cook more because she works more. Like, it's whatever works for the marriage, for the group, for the team, for the it's about your partner, right? It's about partnering. We have to take this selfish hat off and start looking at people for who they are and not for what they have. Stop looking in their pockets and look in their hearts.
And too many people have, number one, money has become um we become so fixated on money. Like you were saying, somebody can make a certain amount, and
Right.
women don't want to date men unless they have this amount. A man may not want to marry a woman that makes more than him. And then that's one thing. And then you have the gender roles and assignments, men not being men as they should. Now, does that mean I can't cook and clean? Of course that it doesn't mean I can't cook and clean. Does that mean that you can't, take the trash out or cut the grass? Yeah, no, obviously not. But whatever works for that particular household, like you said, is what matters. And we have too many people generalizing and acting like they have the answer for what everyone should do, as opposed to keeping a Mickey freaky mouth shut and do what works for you, and
Right.
then let that person do what works for them. But you also have too many people who don't know how to think for themselves. And so they're listening to these idiots online instead of going to the source. It's right there in the book. It's in, there's a lot of good information in the Bible. There really, really is. It's really a helpful, handy book. It really is. But you have people who don't want to think for themselves, too many people who are sheep, and they listen to all of these talking heads try to tell them what they should and shouldn't be doing when you are not in a successful relationship. You are on your third or fourth marriage, which I don't have a problem with that. You can get wisdom from a divorce. You can get understanding from several marriages. That doesn't mean you don't know what you're talking about. What I'm saying is you don't have the pill, you don't have the cure all or fix all for what everybody should do, because everybody's different, so everybody's situation is going to be different.
That's right.
I love it.
And
What
nothing is across the board. Like, this is the rule, the end all be all rule, right? If it's not something that God says, I can confess to you that I am reading the Bible for the first time all the way through, and I am almost at the end. This is the first time. I am 53 years old, and I have always believed what people had told me is in the Bible. And I am very extremely proud of myself. I have taken the time out to read it for myself. There's nothing like it. Like,
I'm
it's
proud of you.
really hard to get through numbers, but I did it.
I'm proud of you, sis. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. That's excellent. I would recommend to anyone, if you haven't read through the Bible, it takes time, but you can do it. And there are study guides and plans you can find on YouTube that'll help you go through it. I think it could take like a year. You can do it comfortably in like a year. But for
That's
anyone,
that year long 365 days, or that they break down. You read it and then they break it down, so they tell you what scriptures to read and they break it down for you. So it's just been very helpful, and because sometimes I don't understand what I just read, and that's good, but it's been helpful, and I've had the opportunity to sit back and think about some things differently, some things that I need to unlearn, right? Some things that I didn't realize. It's not about the man, it's about the things that I want to feel from the man. So it's like I like to feel secure and safe and desired. And, I like to feel empowered, right? It's like those things that I want to feel. And what we do is we take that and we affix it to a person when it's really about our own feelings. It's really not about the other person.
About your relationship with God and your relationship with yourself. And if you get those two things set, then you will begin to have positive relationships around you, and he'll bring the people into your circle that he needs and he wants to be there. But if you're unhealthy, if you're unhappy, if you don't love yourself, if you haven't experienced the love of God, know what true, real, genuine, unconditional love is, then people can bring you anything and you'll accept it. But
Mm-hmm.
once you're in the presence of God and you understand what it means, what unconditional love really is, you will very quickly be able to determine anything that's not like that. And you won't settle for anything less than that. And he'll begin to seek ye first the kingdom, and then he'll bring everything else you need to you. It has been a pleasure, my sister. Thank you so very much. We're going to give last words to you. Anything that you want to say to the women out here in general, Black women, Black people, what would you like to say?
I would like to recite the poem because this is what I want for my Black men.
I would love to hear that. I would love for you to do that.
When I think of the burden the Black man has had, no, continues to endure, the futures of my sons, brothers, and fathers just makes me feel unsure. During slavery, our men watched and felt powerless indeed, as their women and children were taken and sold like some steed. They were shackled, beaten, forced to watch their women be raped, all creating a hole in their souls, not knowing how to escape. After 400 years of torture, they told them they were free, only to be restricted and left to wonder how to rebuild the broken family. Supposed to be the head, but brainwashed from so many years of no hopes of being free. Then finally released with nothing, having built mansions for masters without a claim of equity. Wondering where to start, rebuild, and reclaim his place in a world with no respect. Yearning to be the alpha he was born to be and trying to survive with a knee on his neck. Fast forward to today, the government aids back families without the man in the home, only assisting those women with children and rewarding them for the man being gone. Police brutality and killings running rampant, whether you're guilty or not. Incarcerated by the masses and profiting on them without a thought or a right. Giving the jobs to Black women because they're seen as less of a threat. Knowing all well the man has the skills, but the job he won't get. Then home comes the woman with a check in her hand, waving it around and asking, how are you the man? Where in this world does the Black man get a seat? Really never sitting down and never landing on his feet, stripping him of his dignity with every turn of a key, finding countless ways to oppress him, which is the opposite of free. Who will hold him and support him through this dark journey called life, when not only the woman belittles him, but claims that she's his wife, forever giving love that's never reciprocated and forever accepting less? Who could understand the perils of a Black man when even he is unable to express the stress of finding a place in society for an alpha with golden skin that was born to lead? In such a place that literally fears, dishonors, discredits, and really wants him to leave. So I ask, where is the love and understanding for the plight of a Black man?
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
I love
Is
my
that, say that again. Say that again.
I love my Black men.
Y'all heard it, fellas. If you want to reach out to Trina, you can feel free to interact through the comments. You can send her a direct message at bwaynepresents@gmail.com. Is that particular poem in that book?
No, it's not. But it's
Why
on
is that not?
my YouTube page. I actually have a video to it.
So if you would, send all, I'd love to get whatever information you want me to share. You send me the links and I will certainly post in the description. You can get the book Do Not Sit on Amazon.
Yes.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Trina.
Thank you, Wayne. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon.
All right.